What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a breaking story, maybe a breaking story, and it's about Thuram. It's about Thuram from Nice, who we have been in talks with, and all the news is popping up right now. It's getting more and more concrete. It's getting more and more real. So that's what we're gonna talk about. And the interesting news is it is not depending on Rabiot's future. That was interesting. We're going to talk about the final details of the Douglas Luiz deal. A very sad bit of news on Di Lorenzo, which is unbelievable what we are offering Di Lorenzo. And then some Huijsen news. Also, might be a big update for our continuation in this transfer market. So before we do that, hit the like button, subscribe, and let's go. Okay, so first bit of news, it's Thuram from Nice. Alfredo Pedula is teasing us a little bit, or was teasing us a little bit, and I've said it many times this summer. He is a very good source when it comes to Juve this season. He is. He's always first. He's spot on, and you need to listen to him. And he talked about Thuram being a real target for the club, a target the club had talks with, with Nice to see what is feasible. Now, Di Marzio came out saying that it's full steam ahead for Thuram after Douglas Luiz, because talks between us and Nice have been ongoing. The interesting part is that he's saying that even if Rabiot stays, the club is still going for Thuram, who might be leaving, or the club wants to have a feeling they can pay between 15 and 18 million euros because he's out of contract next season and he's not going to renew his deal. Alfredo Pedula came on. First, Di Koshira said already 2 meetings took place for Thuram, and Pedula said he said no to an offer from the Premier League and another offer because he wants to join Juve, because he's intrigued by the possibility also of facing his brother who plays for Inter, obviously. I like him. And I've not seen him play this season, so I'm going off the previous season where I actually watched him play. So I don't know what happened this season. I read he didn't have the best of seasons, but for that price, and when I say the best of seasons, when you watch my podcast with Steve, he started off well and slowed down basically towards the end, but so did Nice in general. Started off strong, and then everything kind of collapsed a little bit. But I think he's good. From what I've seen, especially for that price, he doesn't have pace, but how do you want to say that? Like, it's like Pogba type of pace where he takes a few steps and he's kind of gone. I think he's decent on the ball. He can grow. He's still young, so I have no issue with that. I don't have an issue. If you want to move out McKennie and you're not sure about Miretti, you want to loan him out again. Nicolucci is gone. You want to move out. Alcaraz is gone as well. Like I said, Miretti, McKennie. You need some players in, even if Rabiot stays. If Rabiot goes for 15, 18 million euros, that's a fair price, in my opinion. That's a good deal. It's not a world beater. He has potential. He's not the finished article, so he's not a player you can plug in and he's going to click from day one. He's not that type of player right now. But he has a decent amount of experience, playing top flight football for a while. So I like him. I have no issue with him. He's a tall player as well. Again, I need to go off 2 seasons ago. Pretty good in certain, especially in second balls from what I've seen. Picking up the second ball he's good at, which is helpful. I think we struggled with that all season long as well. But for 15, 18 million euros, I don't see the biggest issue. Is he the main target? No. But like I said, if you move on Nicolucci and Alcaraz and Miretti and McKennie, you need to get some bodies in. You need to sign some players. And you just moved out Barnechea, different players, but you need to sign some players. That's as simple as that. And we don't have a big budget, so if you sign him for 15, 18 million, I have no issue with that. So let's see how that will go because Rabiot's saga is ridiculous. But Di Marzio saying even if Rabiot stays, it's still a main target. Now, on to the Douglas Luiz, here we go type of deal. It's basically confirmed. He's going to do his medicals in the US where he's for the Copa America. We are sending Barnechea and Ealing Jr. and between 25 and 28 million euros. We have a 10% future resale on Junior and Barnechea as well. That's the deal. Is that too much? Yes, for me it's too much. It is too much. I'm not gonna lie. I like Douglas Luiz. I thought he was the main priority this season. But if Motta's like, I need him, I want him, fine. I don't like giving up Barnechea, especially when the initial news was we were giving up McKennie, and that would have solved an issue for us, for a player we don't really want, and he doesn't want to renew as well, or we do not want to renew. That would have solved a big issue. It's not going to happen. So I think the excitement level kind of dropped off basically purely on that. But the deal, like financially, I think it's too much. On the books for the club, perfect. You know, even paying more cash, the valuation went up a little bit. It's perfect for the club. But I'm not an accountant. I care about what happens on the pitch. And on the pitch, I think we're giving up too much with the cash in return. But Douglas Luiz, it's happening. We will see. We will talk about it more in depth when he actually gets announced and etc. But that's the deal. 25, 28 million plus Junior and Barnechea. And we have a 10% sell-on fee on both of those players. So that's that. Now move on to the sad part of the show. And that's Di Lorenzo. And that's from Nico Shira saying that we are still in pole position to sign Di Lorenzo. He definitely wants to leave Napoli. And we agreed with him on a contract until 28 plus a year 29 as well. Napoli won 25 million. He is on 3.2 million euros, which we agreed on as well. And it actually makes me sick. It makes me sick. I don't get it. And this has nothing to do with the game against Spain, because that's... everybody saw that, but I never rated Di Lorenzo. Not once in his entire career did I sit there and say, wow, that's a brilliant player. Need him, you know, or yeah, he deserves, quote unquote, better than Napoli. Not once. I don't think he's a good player. He's 31 as well. If you like, I refuse to believe this story. He's 31. You're giving him a deal until 35, potentially 36. Like, that's ridiculous. He's not any good. 3 million as well a season, paying Napoli 25. That's insane. Like, that's just a no-go from moment one. From, like, forget about is he good, just financially it makes no sense. And on the pitch it definitely makes no sense, because he's not a good player. He cannot defend. If he gets paired to an opponent who has some sort of pace and some basic technique, he's just cooked. Even at the Euros Italy won, he wasn't good. He's not a good player. So I don't get this, and I will look at Giuntoli. Very strange if he makes this deal happen. I don't care if you know him from Napoli days. That's a ridiculous deal for a player who's not worth it. So I don't get it. As of now, I'm so confused, and I hope he stays in Napoli, but it doesn't look like he wants to stay. And I don't think Napoli are going to keep their captain who doesn't want to be there. That makes no sense at all. So I'm actually very scared right now, because that deal is suicide. That's ridiculous. I can tell you now that deal will flop. And we will be sitting here 2 years from now saying, how the hell are we going to get rid of Di Lorenzo's contract? It's just insane. But that's news. So Di Lorenzo in suicide contract, that row contract. But yeah, let's move on to another piece of Nico Shira saying that Girona has joined Dortmund and Newcastle in the race to sign Dean Huijsen. Juve won at least 30 million. Atalanta also like him, and they are willing to accept him in a deal for quote miners, but Girona will submit a bid to Juve in the next few days. Now, if he has the options, Dortmund, Newcastle, and Atalanta, I know we became Spanish right now, played in Spain, I think for Granada as well. You might say, hey, maybe he wants to join Girona, Champions League football, but if the other teams are in, I'm not so sure he wants to do that. It's a mistake. You cannot sell all your youngsters. They cannot all stay. They're not all going to be top players, be part of this team, so on, but you cannot just move them all out in one summer. I think Dean Huijsen is a good player. If you move on Dean Huijsen, it means you're 100% certain you're signing Calafiori. Because profile-wise, in terms of on the ball or whatever, they are in the same ballpark, and like in the same, how do you want to say it? The same idea of defender, basically, in my opinion. You know, on the ball, very good. You know, defensively, still need to improve, but on the ball, very good. You know, a bit atypical for an actual defender. If you sell him, that means, in my opinion, you agree that Calafiori is going to join. You know Calafiori is going to join because you cannot not sign Calafiori, move on Dean Huijsen, sit there and play another season with Rugani, Bremer, Danilo, and Gatti, and maybe Diallo, whatever. Like that cannot be the case, because you need to think long term. Long term, is it going to be Calafiori? Is it going to be Huijsen? For me, you should be keeping both. You cannot move Dean Huijsen, in my opinion. Not even for coal miners, but we knew it was going to happen. But we're selling them all. Junior, Barnechea, Huijsen, Sule. Nobody's surviving. And I'm like, if you're selling this crop of next-gen players, then then it's actually a cash cow, the next gen, because the other ones coming through are not really better. They're not better than what you're trying to move on right now. So the excitement level drops, it drops. But we will see. I think if you sell Dean Huijsen, Calafiori is joining. And then to wrap it up, an update on Keane. Also, this from Daniele Longhi saying, in the coming days, you will tell Keane you need to leave, and they want at least 50 million euros. Fiorentina and Bologna shown interest. He's on 3 million. Ridiculous deal from Paratici. The moment we signed him, I was like, why? Why bring Moise Keane back? And completely flop. 1 goal in 1 year or something. Like, a complete flop. For his own sake, he needs to leave. We will see if we get that 50 million because his wages are insane. So he needs to drop that as well. So we will see. We will see where he goes, but he needs to go for his own sake. It's just never going to work out. So that's that. Let me know in the comments what you think about Thuram, about the Douglas Luiz deal, and the suicide contract for me when it comes to Di Lorenzo. And then I will see you back tomorrow for a live call-in show. Ciao.